So
Okay, so awesome. So let's dive into it. So we are discussing loading. So um, first thing first, I feel, what do you think? What do you think is the correct time to load? I mean, there's a big debate. Like, a lot of people say that, okay, this is the time to load. You should jump on when you're jumping. That is the time you should get your load up. What do you feel that, what's your take on that?
so I will generally work back from release. So
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm seeing in the run up through the crease and through into release, is what I'm seeing kind of good? Like, does it present an upright seam? Are they in a healthy position? Does it look like, and I'm going through this at the moment, I saw a young talented bowler literally a few days ago, a run up to die for, fluid, efficient, didn't make a sound with his feet, and we're all indoors at the moment here in the UK. And I'm thinking, when I'm just watching him run in, I'm thinking, wow, I'm looking forward to seeing this. But then it didn't come out as like explosively as I
Mm-hmm.
as I thought it should do because of his run up. And it was almost like a mismatch between what I saw with his run up and what I saw through the crease, and then ultimately what I saw with ball speeds. So I normally work back from kind of, what am I seeing outcome wise? And then I start thinking, okay, so breaking things down. Um, the jump gather is a really important position for me, and you would have got that from things you may have seen on what I put on social media, because I believe that the bowlers that are able to use whatever their run up velocity is, their run up speed, the bowlers that are effective through the crease are generally the ones where there's not a lot of drop off in speed. They're able
Mm-hmm.
to use a lot of the run up
Momentum.
velocity that they generate in their run up. And I
Correct.
generally think that, so that jump gather, I think, is a kind of a marker. Is the
Correct. Yeah.
there's
Absolutely.
no there's no sets you have to be in this position with your upper body. You have to load up here, load up there. I think there are some considerations which I'm sure we'll go into. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, a kind of I like to see, regardless of a bowler's action, I like to see an upright posture at jump gather,
Yeah.
because if they're leaning back too far, they're slowing down, so they're not able to take
Absolutely.
that through
Absolutely.
there. If they're
That's why
leaning forwards, they're going to struggle to get up in their action and keep healthy. So
that balance won't be there. Mm.
yeah, so a jump gather is like a marker more than anything else.
That's
What about
more like
you?
a. I also feel that, because you've also seen so many bowlers, and these days I'm also seeing a lot of bowlers bowl. It's also a coach's instinct, if you're getting my point, that, when you see the bowler bowl and the type of bowler he or she is, then you get to know that, okay, this, even if the load is a little late or a little early, it just seems right, that, okay, this, you should not be changing that, because you just feel that, okay, that rhythm is there because of that. So like you said that, because you see the outcome, and if the outcome is efficient and the
Yeah,
load is late or early, I feel that, you can compromise there. That's what
yeah,
I personally feel. But
yeah,
also, like you said that, about the rock back, like, I think it's a bit overrated here. Like, a lot of people feel that, okay, when you're rocking back and you're really tilting backwards, it feels that, okay, there's a catapult, like, it's like, uh, you will get more out of the ball. But I feel that that's not the right way to do it, because you're putting too much pressure on your back and your energy is not going forward. So I think, like you said, I feel that, that jump and gather is more or less the time you should be loading, and I feel that can be one of the, key points where you should be getting to, right? I mean,
I had a really interesting discussion, and what we're talking about here takes me back to a memory I've got. So T.A. Saker was
hmm
somebody I met a couple of times at the MRF years ago.
hmm
And then he came across to England and came up to the National Indoor Centre up at Loughborough. And we were talking about exactly this. So timing of load up. And he was very clear on what he wants to see, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of got me curious and really kind of thinking about stuff. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
what it did was make me more aware. So his belief was for side-on back foot bowlers,
Mm-hmm.
because they've got that extra rotation
Mm-hmm.
with their foot, so therefore their hips and their shoulders.
They have
He
more time to work.
believed that the load up needs to take place just prior to jump gather,
Okay.
because they need that
They
fraction.
have time. They have
They
time.
need to create time somehow. And so by
Mm-hmm.
loading up slightly earlier for side-on back foot bowlers, and then it's midway bowlers, they start their load up closer to that jump gather stride. And
Mm-hmm.
then for front on bowlers, exactly
Should
on.
be exactly on the
Exactly
jump.
on. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very interesting.
So yeah, so the interesting thing for me, and I'd be really fascinated with your view, is how a bowler can create time to get there to sync their kind of lower body and their upper body, because ultimately that's kind of everything, isn't it? If their upper body is in front of their legs and their feet, there's a complete mismatch and a loss of energy,
Absolutely.
a loss of energy. So there, what's your view on what stages of an action can bowlers create time?
Uh,
Um,
like you just said this, and it's very very interesting because at the back of the mind, I do feel that this can be true because of the fact that side on bowlers have more time to the turn can be during that particular time, that load up, they need to synchronize their
yeah,
body movements
yeah,
down and up. So I feel that that does make sense, uh, but I also feel that this probably comes very naturally to bowlers, even
yeah,
if it's something where they are trying to do it separately.
yeah,
It it might take a lot of time. Maybe if he or she is a young kid,
yeah,
then maybe we can really do some drills and work on that. But I
yeah,
don't think that will be a possibility if someone has really done it for a long time and changing it. At that particular time, I just feel that that natural movement of your synchronization is very difficult to change. Then it changes a lot of other things.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
my view on that. But it's very like what you said, that it's very very interesting that for younger ones, younger kids, I feel that that does make sense, that even if the load is a little early, they have time to really get to that position where they want to at the
yeah,
point of delivery.
yeah,
What do
yeah,
you Stu, what do you think about like getting to our point, like if you load late,
yeah,
obviously when you're loading late, then your arms have to be a little quicker to synchronize, right?
yeah,
So do you think that that affects the pace of the ball?
yeah, I do. A little bit like you explained earlier on. I'm a big believer in, regardless of the bowler's action, if it's pace that we are looking to increase, and they've got the other things in place, so they've got a good seam position, they've got bounce, they've got accuracy. But if we believe that bowlers in the future need to do those other three things as fast as possible in order to get, batters of the future in real trouble, I do believe that the further back in the action the arms can be. So we talked about markers, didn't we? The jump gather, another marker that I observe. I don't tell the player necessarily, but where are their arms at when their back foot is still on the floor, and as soon as their front foot hits the floor. So where are their arms? And
Hmm.
we know that the quicker bowlers, their arm is below the horizontal when their front foot hits the floor. So then
Hmm.
if a bowling arm is above the horizontal, then the question I have in my mind as a coach is saying, right, how can I get this bowler's, male or female, their bowling arm further back in the action. And that's
Mm,
where I then go, okay, well, what's the timing of the load up? If they load up
mm,
a little bit later, they can
mm,
still use the same kind of arm action, whatever their action is.
mm.
But can I get their arms kind of further back in their action so this arm gets below the horizontal? So those are the kind of questions that goes through. What am I seeing in the key positions or the marker positions that I look out for? And is
Mm.
there a way that I can, make it better, whatever better looks like, if pace is the thing that we're looking.
Yeah, I think, and it's also the trial and errors you need to do. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's important to really try a few things where maybe what works, you just don't know what works for
yeah,
whom. So that's really crucial. But
yeah.
another thing, Stuart, is that do you think that there is a difference for load ups for taller bowlers and for maybe medium or shorter bowlers? Like, is there a difference? Because a lot of load ups, if you see for taller ones, it goes
Yeah,
back all the way back. So
yeah,
is
yeah.
that to synchronize better? You feel
I
that?
so what I've picked up over the years is that taller bowlers generally need bigger bowling circles. So Brett Lee is a classic,
Yeah.
shorter, powerful, fast, but he was a kind of a lock and load. It was straight down here, wasn't he? But the
Hmm.
taller bowlers that I've generally worked with, they do need to create a bigger bowling arm circle.
Bigger circle. Correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Correct.
so track the ball interaction. They generally do go up to keep
Hmm.
them up as well. And then kind of generally go out towards the batter.
And
But
then
their bowling circles are generally quite bigger. Now, the reason for that, I've not really looked too much into that, but I'm kind of guessing a little bit that because they are taller to get
hmm
and their legs are taller and so their delivery stride is longer, generally, they need that bowling arm circle to be longer in order to kind of sync up a little bit.
basically to synchronize.
Yeah, yeah. So finding ways to, again, when that front foot hits the floor, if
Hmm
pace is their thing, where is their arm? So taller bowlers. I mean, that's a great question. We've got a 6'8" opening bowler, Ollie Hannon Dolby at
hmm
Warwickshire. Um, he's so skillful and he gets bounce and he is accurate. So three of those four kind of boxes that we look at.
hmm
He bowls it kind of early to mid 70s, but he gets bounced. So
Great
and
bounce.
we were playing about with, can we add another kind of few miles an hour? I
Hmm
reckon, he's near the back, he's at the back end of his career now, and he's made a really good career for himself. And so, but he was open to it.
hmm
And then you go into the realms of it's going to feel so different. So then
Correct.
our players okay with it feeling a bit weird that
Yeah.
it's not normal. Um, but yeah, so he's 6'8" and he's got quite a long kind of load up compared with
Yeah.
us anyway. Yeah. What about yourself? What do you think about that?
Uh, so, so I feel that they do take it back to synchronize because if they have a shorter load, then obviously they will be further ahead of where they need to be. So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
reason I feel, and also that for them it's more difficult to rotate their arms quicker.
yeah,
So uh, so I think there's I won't say compromise, but there is a bit of you need to adjust somewhere because these the shorter ones need to be a little quicker with their hands too, because they'll probably skid the ball more, and the
yeah,
taller ones will probably get more bounce, but not
yeah,
that particular pace, or
yeah,
so I feel that that totally depends. But again, the loading is because of, I feel it's the synchronization, but I also feel that it should be not in a way, because I see a lot of bowlers in their run-ups, they stand up very very early because they
yeah,
want to actually load. So
yeah,
because they're like preparing to load, so they stand up very early taking their back like that, and
yeah,
then that whole momentum of the run up
yeah,
just vanishes, this goes.
yeah,
So I feel
yeah,
that because of that, you need to actually, ask them if they could maybe, delay it as much as they can, so that, they're not standing up in their run-ups, and also, their momentum is going forward. Like we said, that all the energies should be going
Yeah,
forward. That's one of the crucial things. And so it's a lot with the tall bowlers that they stand up very early and they take their hands way back. It
yeah,
could be maybe a little lesser.
yeah.
So yeah, so I feel that that's the only issue. So you just need to balance that out, I feel.
It's interesting because that's a great point you made about the timing of the load up for taller bowlers.
Hmm.
With the run up, so for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so
Yeah,
if a bowler is, we feel, loading up far too early, it's normally, everything we see is normally caused by something that happens 2 or 3 frames before that.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's interesting you say, so bowlers that we feel are loading up too early are generally, like you say, the ones that their hands come up when they're running, their hands
hmm.
go up even higher. And
Hmm.
so therefore they start, being in a great position and then start leaning back. I reckon it, comes down to running technique. So I've started doing, or asking our S&C coach to do more running technical work, especially with
Absolutely.
our younger bowlers, and almost look to keep your chin forwards, chest forwards, and keep your hands lower. Because as soon as the
Absolutely.
hands come up, they're
Yeah, they
they're
tend to become
almost, yeah,
slower. Tend to
yeah,
become slow,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Do you
I
do a lot
agree.
of work with your bowlers on their running techniques?
Uh, I'll be honest, I don't do it as much as I should be.
Right.
uh, it gets a bit difficult to communicate with, the coordination between the SNCs and the coaches.
Yeah.
That's one of the things which is a challenge, but I feel that it is the most important thing for a
Right.
fast bowler, that SNC, and in academies that's a big problem. I mean, if you see that, when you're running an academy and you're doing it for younger kids, it gets a
Yeah.
little difficult unless and until you have a professional SNC coach. Because
Yeah.
if you have that, and uh, guilty as charged, we should be having one because that's very, very crucial. I feel that, because that's one of the things, like you said, that, I mean, before telling them that, okay, this can be the fault, to rectify it, it can be only done by SNC coaches, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's crucial. I feel it's very important because
I guess.
that's the key. Like you said that, if you're standing up, obviously you're slowing down and your technique is going all over the place.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, all the things ahead will go for a toss. I mean, that gets very, very difficult.
No, I
So
agree.
the efficiency is not there.
Running coaches, athletics coaches. Um, I've got this vision in my mind of, you so we're trying to get bowlers, whatever age, to move efficiently. So they're moving quicker, but with less energy because they're wasting a small amount of energy with their running techniques.
Hmm.
So we're trying to get them to run efficiently. And the kind of running template I've got in my mind is a 400-meter runner.
Yeah.
So out of their blocks, obviously leaning forwards, get up to speed, and their posture is good. They're kind of leaning forwards, they're keeping everything, their upper body forwards. Um, and so they're moving more efficiently and often quicker,
Hmm.
but by using less energy.
Correct. I
So
think the
yeah.
problem with us is the problem with the bowlers and with cricket is that, in a 400-meter run, they're concentrating on running.
Mm,
And in bowling, they're concentrating on bowling. You're getting my point? So,
yeah,
the
yeah,
concentration is that, okay, how will the ball go? I
yeah,
mean, if they start concentrating in their drills, if they start concentrating on only their running, I
yeah,
feel that everything will be taken care of.
yeah, yeah,
But that's a difficult thing to do. But that's the most important thing, because if you notice, they want a ball and they want to just bowl. Their concentration is, okay, I just need to bowl. So
yeah,
they're not concentrating. They feel that, okay, this is just a byproduct, the running part, and they
yeah,
just okay, that'll happen. It'll happen just naturally. It'll happen, but it doesn't happen. So I feel that is one thing which should be, taken into consideration more. Let's discuss something uh, interesting, like what we just discussed about. Maybe how can you be quicker? What do you feel about that? That's a very interesting topic. People like it. People want to know the real truth about that
Yeah.
because I feel there's a lot of myth, and there's a lot of talks about just randomly increasing pace, which is